Best lap is a 150.577. Johnny Prince from New Zealand is P5. Chris Butt from New Zealand is P3 on mediums. Todd is P2. Jason Short is P1. Todd is P2. The Mill from New Zealand is 5th on mediums. Todd is P2. YH8 Racing is 4th on mediums. Johnny Prince is P6 on mediums. The Mill is P5. Johnny Prince is 8th. The Mill is 3rd. Best lap is a 152.324. Chris Butt is 5th. Best lap is a 416.886. That Canadian guy from Canada is 6th on mediums. Todd is P2. Best lap is a 150.020. Johnny Prince is P6. Best lap is a 3:27.483. That Canadian guy is 20th. Best lap is a 88:59.727. The Mill is P3. Best lap is a 151.016. Jason Short is P1. Best lap is a 148.557. Todd is second. The race dictator from New Zealand is P6 on mediums. Best lap is a 245.826. YH8 Racing is P7. The Mill is P3. YH8 Racing is 7th. The race dictator is 6th. Jason Short is first. That Canadian guy is 20th. The race dictator is second. Best lap is a 149.710. Todd is third. Best lap is a 149.952. The Mill is P4. Best lap is a 151.007. That Canadian guy is P20. Jason Short is first. That Canadian guy is 20th. Wiremew is 8th on mediums. Jason Short is P1. Johnny Prince is 5th. Best lap is a 1:55.798. Wiremew is P8. That Canadian guy is P20 on hards. Todd is P3. Chris Butt is 6th. Best lap is a 2:05.777. That Canadian guy from Canada is P20. Chris Butt is P5. Best lap is a 1:51.345. Todd from New Zealand is 3rd. Johnny Prince is 6th. YH8 Racing is 8th. Todd is 3rd. The race dictator is P2. Chris Bunnett is 5th. Johnny Prince is 6th. Best lap is a 1:53.127. YH8 Racing is P8. The Race Dictator is 2nd. Chris Bunnett is 5th. YH8 Racing is 8th. Wiremew is 7th. Best lap is a 6:30.866. Johnny Prince from New Zealand is P6. YH8 Racing is 8th. Johnny Prince is P6. That Canadian guy is P20. Jason Short is 1st. Best lap is a 1:48.365. The Race Dictator is P2. Todd is 3rd. Jason Short is P1. Best lap is a 1:48.112. Todd is P3. Wiremu is 8. The qualification session is at Barcelona City. Jason Short from New Zealand is 19th on mediums. Chris Butt from New Zealand is P3 on mediums. Johnny Prince from New Zealand is P4 on mediums. The Mill from New Zealand is P8 on mediums. The Race Dictator from New Zealand is first on mediums. Todd from New Zealand is P9 on mediums. "10 minutes remaining in the session. The Race Dictator is P1. The Race Dictator improved his first with a 150.343. YH8 Racing is P7 on mediums. Jason Short is provisional pole with a 149.341. The Mill is P7. The Mill improved his P5 with a 151.575. 2.234 off pole. Wiremu is 9th on mediums. YH8 Racing is 6th up 0.45 on mediums. The Race Dictator is P3 up 0.28. YH8 Racing is 7th up 0.35. That Canadian guy from Canada is P2 up 0.11 on hards. That Canadian guy improved his second with a 149.902. 0.561 off pole. Wiremu is 9th on mediums. Chris Butt is P4 up 0.28. Five minutes remaining in the session. Wiremu is 9th up 0.37. Wiremu improved his P8 with a 152.442. 3.101 off pole. Todd is 6th. Todd is provisional pole with a 149.082. The race dictator is 4th up 0.38. The race dictator improved his P3 with a 149.793. 0.711 off pole. Jason Short is P2 up 0.26. Jason Short is provisional pole with a 148.790. Johnny Prince is 9th. Johnny Prince improved his P8 with a 152.306. 3.516 off pole. Jason Short is P1 up 0.11. YH8 Racing is P7. Johnny Prince is 8th up 0.12. Johnny Prince improved is 8th with a 152.298. 3.508 off pole. Todd is P2. Best lap is a 149.082. 0.292 off pole. The qualifying session is now in overtime. Todd is provisional pole with a 148.562. Jason Short is P2. Jason Short is provisional pole with a 147.825. The Mill is 6th. The Mill improved is P5 with a 150.176. 2.351 off pole. Johnny Prince is 8th. Best lap is a 152.298. 4.473 off pole. Broadcast bot is P20. The race session is at Barcelona City. Jason Short is first. Todd from New Zealand is P2 on mediums. The race dictator from New Zealand is third on mediums. YH8 Racing entering the pits is 19th. 30 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. The race dictator lost third to that Canadian guy. Todd is second. YH8 Racing exiting pits on mediums. That Canadian guy from Canada is third on hards. The race dictator entering the pits is P9. Todd is P2. The race session is at Barcelona City. Todd from New Zealand is second on mediums. "30 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. Todd is now second. Chris Butt from New Zealand is P5 on mediums. Chris Butt is now P3. Wiremu is P3 on mediums. The Mill from New Zealand is P2 on mediums. The race dictator entering the pits is P9. The race session is at Barcelona City. The Mill from New Zealand is 5th on mediums. Johnny Prince entering the pits is P19. 30 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. The race dictator from New Zealand is P2 on mediums. Johnny Prince exiting pits on mediums. YH8 Racing is 4th on mediums. YH8 Racing lost P4 to Wiremu. The race dictator is P2. Wiremu is 4th on mediums. The race dictator is P2. Wiremu is P4. Wiremu lost 5th to the Mill. The race dictator is 2nd. Wiremu is 5th, 0.6 behind the mill. The Race Dictator is 2nd, 0.9 behind Jason Short. Wiremu is P5, 0.3 behind the mill. YH8 Racing is 9th, 0.3 behind Johnny Prince. Wiremu is P5, 0.7 behind the mill. The Race Dictator is P2, 0.6 behind Jason Short. Chris Butt from New Zealand is P3 on mediums, 0.5 ahead of the mill. The mill is P4, 0.5 ahead of Wiremu. The Race Dictator is P2, 0.7 behind Jason Short. Chris Butt is 3rd on mediums, 0.4 behind the Race Dictator. The Race Dictator is 2nd. Best lap is a 1:58.344. 0.747 off the fastest lap. The Race Dictator is now 2nd. That Canadian guy entering the pits is 3rd. Chris Butt is P4, 0.4 ahead of that Canadian guy. 25 minutes remaining in the session. Chris Butt is now 3rd. The Race Dictator is P2, 0.3 ahead of Chris Butt. The mill exiting pits on mediums. That Canadian guy exiting pits on hards. YH8 Racing exiting pits on mediums. Wiremu is 3rd on mediums, 0.1 ahead of Chris Butt. The Race Dictator is 2nd, 0.5 ahead of Wiremu. Wiremu is 3rd, 0.2 behind the Race Dictator. Chris Butt is 4th, 0.3 behind Wiremu. Wiremu is 3rd on mediums, 0.2 behind the Race Dictator. Todd from New Zealand is P4 on mediums, 0.2 behind Wiremu. Wiremu is P3, 0.2 behind the Race Dictator. Wiremu was 5.6 faster last lap. Chris Butt is P9. Best lap is a 2:01.238. 3.641 off the fastest lap. Todd is 7th battling Chris Butt. Johnny Prince from New Zealand is 8th on mediums. Best lap is a 2:05.553. 7.956 off the fastest lap. The race dictator is 3rd. Johnny Prince is P8, 0.5 behind Chris Butt. The race dictator is 3rd, 1.1 behind Wiremu. Johnny Prince is P8, 0.6 behind Chris Butt. The race dictator is 3rd on mediums, 0.7 behind Wiremu. Johnny Prince is P8 on mediums, 0.6 behind Chris Butt. The race dictator is P3, 0.8 behind Wiremu. Chris Butt on lap 5 is 7th, 0.6 behind YH8 Racing. 20 minutes remaining in the session. Todd exiting pits on mediums. Todd is P9. The race dictator is P3, 0.6 behind Wiremu. Wiremu was 1.2 faster last lap. Chris Butt is 7th. The race dictator is 3rd, 0.1 behind Wiremu. Chris Butt is 7th, 0.4 behind YH8 Racing. The race dictator is 3rd, 0.3 behind Wiremu. Chris Butt is P7, 0.7 behind YH8 Racing. Wiremew is third, 1.8 behind the race dictator. Chris Butt on lap 6 is 7th, 0.5 behind YH8 Racing. Chris Butt was 2.7 faster last lap. Wiremew is P3, 2.3 behind the race dictator. The race dictator was 0.5 faster last lap. That Canadian guy from Canada is 4th on hards, 2.2 behind Wiremew. Wiremew is third. Best lap is a 1:52.390. 3.951 off the fastest lap. Chris Butt exiting pits on mediums. That Canadian guy is P4, 1.8 behind Wiremew. Wiremew is third. That Canadian guy is P4, 1.6 behind Wiremew. Jason Short exiting pits on mediums. The race dictator from New Zealand is P2, 0.3 behind Jason Short. The race dictator passed Jason Short for P1. The race dictator lost first to Jason Short. That Canadian guy is P3, 2.9 behind the race dictator. 15 minutes remaining in the session. Wiremew exiting pits on mediums. The race dictator on lap 8 is second, 1.1 behind Jason Short. The Mill is fourth, 3.6 behind that Canadian guy. That Canadian guy was 0.9 faster last lap. The race dictator is P2 on mediums, 1.8 behind Jason Short. That Canadian guy is third, 2.9 behind the race dictator. That Canadian guy passed the race dictator for second. The Mill is third, 3.1 ahead of the race dictator. The race dictator exiting pits on mediums. That Canadian guy from Canada is P2, 0.6 behind Jason Short. The Mill from New Zealand is third, 0.4 behind that Canadian guy. That Canadian guy is second, 0.6 behind Jason Short. Johnny Prince exiting pits on mediums. The Mill is third, 0.7 behind that Canadian guy. That Canadian guy was 0.7 faster last lap. That Canadian guy is P2, 0.6 behind Jason Short. The Mill on lap 9 is third, 0.6 behind that Canadian guy. That Canadian guy from Canada is second, 0.6 ahead of the Mill. The Mill is P3, 0.5 ahead of YH8 Racing. YH8 Racing on lap 9 is fourth, 0.5 behind the Mill. That Canadian guy is P2, 0.6 behind Jason Short. The Mill is P3, 0.7 behind that Canadian guy. That Canadian guy is P2, 0.5 behind Jason Short. Wiremu is third, 0.6 ahead of the Mill. 10 minutes remaining in the session. That Canadian guy is second, 0.5 behind Jason Short. That Canadian guy was 4.0 faster last lap. Wiremu is second battling that Canadian guy. Wiremu lost P2 to that Canadian guy. That Canadian guy on lap 10 is P2, 0.5 ahead of Wiremu. Wiremu on lap 10 is P3, 0.5 ahead of the Mill. The Race Dictator is 5th, 0.5 ahead of YH8 Racing. That Canadian guy is P2, 0.8 ahead of Wiremu. That Canadian guy is now first. Wiremu is P2, 0.9 behind that Canadian guy. Jason Short from New Zealand is P4 on mediums. Best lap is a 1:48.439. race dictator is P5, 0.9 behind Jason Short. Jason Short is P4, 0.4 behind Emil. Chris Butt is 6th, 0.9 behind the race dictator. Jason Short is P4, 0.7 behind Emil. Emil was 2.0 faster last lap. The race dictator on lap 11 is 5th, 1.7 behind Jason Short. Jason Short is 4th. Emil is P3, 0.7 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short is P4 on mediums, 0.3 behind Emil. Emil on lap 12 is P3, 0.5 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short is 4th, 0.7 behind Emil. Emil is P3, 0.2 behind Wiremune. Five minutes remaining in the session. Jason Short is P4 on mediums, 0.3 behind Emil. Emil is 3rd, 0.2 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short is P4, 0.3 behind Emil. Emil is P3. Best lap is a 150.098. 1.659 off the fastest lap. Jason Short is P4, 0.2 behind Emil. The race dictator is P5 on mediums, 0.8 behind Jason Short. Jason Short is P4, 0.3 behind Emil. Todd exiting pits on mediums. The race dictator is 5th, 0.5 behind Jason Short. Jason Short on lap 13 is 4th, 0.3 behind Emil. race dictator is P5, 0.3 behind Jason Short. The Mill is third, 0.4 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short is fourth, 0.3 behind the Mill. The Mill is third, 0.4 behind Wiremute. Wiremute is P2, 0.8 ahead of the Mill. Jason Short is P4, 0.4 behind the Mill. Wiremute is second. Best lap is a 151.284. 2.845 off the fastest lap. The Mill is P3, 0.3 ahead of Jason Short. Wiremute is second on mediums, 0.5 ahead of the Mill. The Mill is P3, 0.5 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short is fourth, 0.4 behind the Mill. Wiremute is second, 0.8 behind that Canadian guy. Jason Short is fourth on mediums, 0.6 behind the Mill. Jason Short passed the Mill for third. Wiremute is P2, 0.8 behind that Canadian guy. The Mill on lap 15 is fourth, 0.7 behind Jason Short. The leader has just finished the race. That Canadian guy finished P1. Wiremute finished second. Jason Short finished third. The Mill finished P4. The race dictator finished fifth. Chris Butt is sixth. Chris Butt finished P6. Johnny Prince finished P7. Todd finished 9th. YH8 Racing finished 8th. Broadcast bot is 10th. The race session is at Barcelona City. That Canadian guy from Canada is P1. The mill from New Zealand is P2 on mediums. Todd from New Zealand is P3 on mediums. That Canadian guy is P1. 30 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. That Canadian guy lost P1 to the mill. Todd is second. Todd passed the mill for first. Todd entering the pits is P1. That Canadian guy entering the pits is third. The mill is P2.